Hey, good morning, everybody. How's it going?
Hey
Hey, Kevin,
everyone,
how's your day going?
it's hot.
It's hot.
Yeah, I'm in New York and we're in the middle of a heat wave. It's
hmm
not nice.
Yeah,
What about
we're
you?
we're we're very similar in the Denver area. It's very, very warm over here too, and we're also getting like thunderstorms and all that good stuff as well. So, hello from around the world, wherever you're joining us. Feel free to drop a message in chat. Let us know where you're connecting from.
What's the weather like where
And
you're from?
yeah, what's the weather like where you are? Let's talk about the weather, all that exciting stuff. Hey, Arlemi. Good to have Arlemi here. So I'm not Arlemi. I was gonna try and like mimic speaking in a French accent, but uh, I decided against that. But yeah,
Unfair.
drop a hello in chat. Let us know where you're from. Let us know what the weather is where you are, because that's going to be related to our challenge today. So Kevin is going to be walking through a blindfold challenge, which is where he doesn't know what's going on. Um, so we're going to have some fun with that. And we're just going to load up some stuff here in LinkedIn so we can drop some links kind of as we go through everything today. There we are. Get
Looking like it's hot everywhere.
There we go. Spoilers already. It's hot in Montenegro. Heat wave, hot in Kansas City. Hello from around the world. So we got all kinds of folks coming in from Twitch and from LinkedIn and so on. So hello everyone. Hope you're all doing great. My name is Ian Douglas. I'm a senior developer advocate at Postman, and joining me today is Kevin. Kevin, why don't you introduce yourself? Let folks know who you are and what you do.
Sure. I'm Kevin Corbett. I am the technical community manager at Postman for the last like 6 months. And this is my first stream, so I'm nervous, but like that's okay.
It's all good. We're all here just to have some fun and have a good time. So
Hopefully
happy you
some
could join
learning.
us today. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yep. So we really like these blindfold challenges, aka initiation into our DevRel team. And it
Definitely
was
not
it was
torture or anything.
no,
It's
no. Well,
fun.
mostly not torture, mostly not torture. But yeah, it'll be a good challenge. We're gonna get into some interesting data today, all about the weather. So drop a note in chat. Let us know where you're from and what the weather's like where you are. You can drop it in Celsius or you can drop it in Fahrenheit, whichever you're comfortable with. Let's see, 95 Fahrenheit to Celsius. It's going to be 35 Celsius in the Denver region today with scattered thunderstorms. So, hooray! Good times. Hello from Jaipur. Wow, we got people from all over the place. Peru, Uzbekistan, lots of folks from India, Algeria, all over the place. So awesome. Good to have everybody here. Um, Cool. Well, as per usual, we're going to start with a segment called In Case You Missed It. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to have a quick peek at some of the new stuff that's been going on in Postman. So we had a new release come out this week. And one of the big news topics that we had here was some changes that we've made to gRPC. And what you can do now is you can grab that protobuf file that you build, the .proto file, and you can actually drop that right into Postman, and it's going to basically go through and start building out all those requests and introspect things for you. Huge update on our gRPC reflection over here. So go check that out. If you do any kind of work with gRPC, this is a game changer. It'll definitely make things a lot easier for working with and developing with gRPC APIs. Arlemi also published What's New in Postman. So this is related to the live stream that Arlemi and Joyce did a couple of weeks ago. So we've got a whole blog post on some of the changes that have happened just in the first half of 2022. And we got even more going on for the second half of 2022. We got some exciting changes coming up later in the year, but we can't spoil it. So
Can't wait.
yeah, some of it's going to be really amazing. And then I published a blog post on some next level automation tricks for Newman. And yeah, in case you missed it, for sure. I basically wrote up how I powered a Twitch chatbot, basically using Newman. So in my on my Twitch channel, I can have people drop chat commands, and it would actually go run a Newman collection and pull that data back into the chat response. So if you wanted to look up, say, the weather where you were, it was actually hitting a weather API and returning the weather and so on. And then the last one that we'll mention today is we made a whole bunch of performance improvements for faster workflows. Words are a little tricky today. Faster for app launching, workspaces. We've done a lot more speed increases there. So the engineering teams have been really hard at work, just making the application a lot faster, using a lot less memory. The desktop application is built using Electron, which in the past has had pretty poor performance. But the team has been doing like amazing things: 2.5 times faster, 2 to 4 times faster, 2 times faster, 50% less memory. So they've gone like way above and beyond. So kudos to the engineering team for a lot of those. So you can go check a lot of that out on blog.postman.com. And then the release notes. I'm going to drop this in chat here as well for everybody. And then
I love less memory.
yeah, awesome. So those are posted. Oh, thank you, Arlemi, for posting some of those links as well. Appreciate that. Cool. Well, let's dive in on our challenge today. So, Mr. Kevin, so we
Ready.
chatted a little bit about what the weather was going to be, and so what we want to do today is I hate when it's hot, and I hate being hot with thunderstorms because in the Denver area, when we get thunderstorms when it's really hot, it tends to turn into hail. So what I want to do is I want to take a road trip. And what we're going to do today is we're going to go on a road trip and we're going to figure out what's the weather going to be when we arrive at wherever we're going on the road trip. So we're going to have to use two different APIs. One's going to have to figure out how long is it going to take to get from point A to point B. And the second part of the challenge is what's the weather going to be like when we arrive at that location. This is a project I used to run with my students. And so we're going to kind of see what's available in the Postman public API for this. And maybe we'll pull some new stuff in. We'll have to see. But this is basically what we're going to work through. Joyce says, "Oh no, maths." No, it won't be a lot of math because a lot of the like road trip type of map APIs, it'll tell you how long it's going to take to get from point A to point B, and we just need to figure that out maybe in hours or something like that. And then in the weather lookup, we'll figure out like how many hours from now is like what's the weather going to be like there. Should have kept that challenge
Usually, I
for
just have an
today,
umbrella in my car just in case. I don't have to do the
right?
math or anything like that. It's,
Yeah, you just have to wear
just
layers
go.
and just be prepared, right? We
Yeah,
we we learned that pretty early on in Colorado. Just wear layers no matter where you go, and you're set. So cool. So Kevin,
you're
I'm gonna let you
smart
take
at
it away from
posting.
here.
Okay.
So that's our challenge. Is so let's start with an environment. So let's talk really high level what we're gonna need in an environment. Let's build an environment where we put in our start location and our end location, so that we can read those out as environment variables. And then we need to find like a map API where we can find how long is it going to take to get from our start to our destination. And then from there, we'll go figure out what the weather is going to be like when we arrive. So we want to make sure that we're not looking up the weather now. If it's like an 8 hour
You want to
drive,
see later.
we want to see what the weather is going to be like there in 8 hours when we
Okay.
get there. Cool. So there's your
All
challenge.
right. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm not going to share your screen, even though
Okay.
they kind of look similar. And we're going to scooch the chat off to the side, but we can still see you. So
Yep.
oh, I just
I'll
turned
I'll,
it
I'll
on.
take I'll
Okay.
take care of the UI stuff. You worry about
I'll
Postman
do
stuff.
this. So
All right.
first we want to make a workspace. So we're going to go up here to our workspaces tab and create one. Um, and when this loads, what's a good name? Let's do something like
Oh, let's call it road trip.
Kevin's Road Trip.
Kevin's road trip. Sure.
All right. And then let's go on a trip. And I'm going to make this, do you want to make this public?
Just team level. I think it'd be fine for today.
Okay. All right. So we need to make an environment, which first we can go to this tab and up here at the plus button, we're going to name this our trip environment. And we need some variables. So we mentioned a start point and an end point. So we're going to do start and end. So what are we thinking? Maybe from New York to Denver?
Ooh, that's going to be a really long drive.
It's a long
Um,
drive, but if we go
let's
fast, it'll be shorter.
Well, let's not encourage people to break laws. Let's find something within like a day's drive. So let's say from where you are in New York, let's try to go to like what would be a day of driving? Let's go to like Buffalo, New York. That's far enough away
Yeah.
that the weather will be drastically different near the Great Lakes as opposed to being close to
Oh,
the ocean. So
especially.
let's
All
go
right.
from like some suburb of New York. Let's go from like Manhattan to Buffalo, New York. And
And
you'll probably need the city and the state in here.
something like that. Manhattan,
Sure.
New York, and Buffalo, New York. Because I'm sure there's probably multiple Buffaloes.
Yeah.
All right. So as we set this as our initial value, now we could see it's under our current value, and then we
Mhm.
will save it so that's actually in our environment. Then we just select that and it's active.
All right.
So the next step is a collection, right? Or do we want to
Yep.
try to find an API?
Well, let's try and find something in our public API network. So we want to try to find something that can give us like how long it's going to take to get from point A to point B.
Okay. So let's go to the Explore tab and check out our API network of 10,000s of APIs. Um, yeah, 10,200 about. So we're gonna look for a map, or do we want to search for that?
We'll probably need to search because it's going to take a while to
A
scroll
lot
through
here.
10,000 APIs.
10,000. We don't have that much time today.
Yeah.
Um, we'll search for APIs. So we have a weather map. That's not quite what we're looking for yet. There's Google
Jo-
Maps.
Joyce suggests we drive all the way to San Francisco. That would be
We would
one
have
heck
to
of a road
drive
trip
really fast.
from New York to San Francisco. Yeah.
Don't go out. All right. Um, let's see. I'm just gonna search map to start. So we see weather map. That might be something we look at later.
Mhm.
Google Maps platform. Would we want to try that?
Um, Maybe, yeah. I mean, the Google Maps API will definitely give us directions. Setting up the authentication for Google Maps API might be a little tricky. I'm curious if there's an API where we can just like throw a single API key at it instead of having to go do all the Google credentials. But we can,
That would
you
be
know,
nice.
we can fall back on that one for sure.
Okay. Let's see. Maps by the API evangelist. I know that guy.
So Arlemi also says that searching for APIs might not be the solution.
Might not
So
be.
oops. So one thing that we could maybe do there would be to like I know, for example, MapQuest has a really good API, but they're not in the public API network. But we could go get an API key and just call their API directly. Um, we could do something like that, or if you can find, let's see if TomTom. Well, TomTom has routing, so let's go see what's going to be involved in the TomTom API here.
So with routing, we can see um, calculate route location.
Yeah. So
So that could
we had a
be
question on Twitch. Are we just looking for a drive time API? And yeah, that's what Kevin's going to try and figure out here is we want to figure out how long is it going to take to get from Manhattan to Buffalo,
Buffalo.
New York. Yeah, so some sort
Yeah,
of
we don't
drive
really
time
need the
API.
directions because we've got ways for that.
Yeah.
But we need to know how long it'll take. So we'll be looking by API. Arlemi mentions we shouldn't be filtering by APIs because it means that we'll be looking for API specifications, which is what this is,
Yeah.
rather than actual APIs.
Right.
So we could go back and change that to collections. And we have a lot more maps.
Okay.
Um, you mentioned
So someone
the
mentioned a drive time API. So I'm wondering if there's like, could we search for the word drive time and see if there's like an API specifically with that? There's a freeway API. No, that doesn't look like
freeway.
we're gonna find anything here.
Yeah, we have a
Um,
team.
yeah. So it looks like we might still need some sort of map API in here.
There's nothing on MapQuest you mentioned.
No, nothing specific to their API.
Right.
So yeah, let's well, if we go back to the TomTom one that you were on,
Oh, this
even
was
though it's showing
Tomtom,
us
that's right.
even though it's showing us the API spec, if you go to the collections from here, we'll still see these endpoints as a collection that we can then fork over to your workspace.
Right. So reachable range isn't useful in this case, but can I make this
Does the
bigger? You can
does
kind
the
of see.
calculate route so it looks like we have some example responses. Do they tell us how long it's gonna take?
It's calculated. So let's look at the response, which I don't think it's showing. Or is this just off the page?
No, it looks like it's not showing it at all here.
Not showing. Okay. That's not great.
Um,
Is there anything I could fill
well,
out?
let's look at the post, for calculating the route
Okay.
because they have
So
a bunch of
something like
examples here as
this
well.
one
Route was calculated.
showing.
So, it's not showing anything, but could we try and oh, I wonder if we could actually try and, like, call this API and see what kind like, see what that response is gonna look like. So, we might need to go figure out, like, an API key and so on. Is there some documentation that we can look at in here?
Sure,
Figure
that's
out,
a
like,
good idea.
how do we authenticate and go from there?
Let's look at the workspace level. And we can see there's an overview here. It's meant to do the work of defining and evolving Open API and collections for documenting, mocking, testing, and integrating with Tomtom APIs. All of these APIs and their collections are a work in progress, so submit back changes, that kind of stuff. It's not the official TomTom workspace, but I think that's okay. So let's see. Integrating with TomTom APIs. We go here. Can see some information about being a developer. Um, or just as major as ask for my secrets.
They've got a directions API. Let's go take a look at that one. So
Okay,
again, we don't care so much about the directions, but we do need to know,
we
does
want
that
that
tell us how
travel
long it's
time,
gonna take to get there?
right? Um, just want to see before we do start here. Okay, so we can see ETAs. So I think that's we're on the right track.
Okay.
Let's go start here. Oh no, I need to register.
Alright.
And they
Let's
want two
yep.
words.
So I'm just
Give
gonna
them my
pop
full
your
name.
screen off there for a moment while you, fill in some registration details and maybe get an API key, and then go ahead and store that in an environment variable when you get Joyce is suggesting that we show everybody, all your registration details and
You guys want my API keys?
yeah. Please keep your API keys, sensitive. So, Kevin, when you add that to your environment, make sure that you only set current value, not initial value, because initial
Yeah, we
values will
can show
synchronize with the
that
Postman
part.
servers. So, yeah,
Let's I'll switch my screen back on when I'm ready for that, and we'll
okay,
show people how to use secret variables.
cool, sounds good.
Gotta get this confirmation email. My favorite is when you get those Google Capture requests where they say like choose all the bicycles. They specifically say
And there
bicycles,
aren't
but they're
any,
motorcycles. Or
right?
there's none.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I think that's also training their AI though. That if they say like, "Is there a bicycle in here?" You're actually confirming as a human that no, there's no bicycle in that photo.
yeah. I am
So yeah, so
almost
we've had a
ready.
couple of questions in chat from people that are joining after the stream started, like what's the challenge all about today? And basically, Kevin's going to take a road trip and figure out what the weather is going to be like when he arrives. And so the first step that we're doing here is we're trying to find an API that we can use that will tell us how long it's going to take to get to our destination, so that when we go look up the weather data, we can figure out what the weather is going to be like when we arrive.
Some trouble here. Created an account because that's what it wants me to do. Then when you try to log in with that account, it says you have to be anonymous, but there's no option to do that.
Wait, it wants you to be anonymous when you log in?
Yeah,
Isn't that kind of against the idea of logging in?
and creating an account. But this is taking longer to load,
Okay.
and it
Well,
didn't load. All right.
maybe they're thinking about it. Maybe double check your email. Like, did you get any sort of follow-up email or anything from them?
Use your API key. That's a link at the bottom. Let's see. Register before continuing. Once you're registered, go to your dashboard. But that's the problem. Can't get to that dashboard. Wonder if something's up with like maybe their site.
Just for
Actually,
expedient.
hold on. I
Okay.
figured something out. The tab
Okay.
that I clicked from my email has me logged in, but not the one I started on. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna go from there.
All right.
I see my first API key. All
All
right,
right.
so I'm gonna bring us back on screen. This one. Cool.
Cool.
All right, so I have my API key. Unfortunately, you can't steal that. Um,
Oh, we can
and we're
steal
gonna
8
go.
characters of it. Hopefully, it's longer
You
than
can
8
take a
characters.
couple of them, and then maybe guess the rest. So we're gonna go back to my trip environment in the workspace I created, and we're gonna create a new variable called Tomtom key, and we want to change this
Yep.
type. You can see
Yep.
some
You
more
want
info
us.
here, just secret. So
Mhm.
this will make it so that anything you type in
Nope. Nope.
here
Nope. Nope.
shows up
Nope.
like
Don't
that.
put it in initial value. Don't put
That's
it in
okay.
initial
That's
value.
so
No,
that's what
because
I'm
if
getting to. You don't want to
yeah.
put anything
Okay.
in initial
Right.
value because you can see that
Right.
clearly. So the idea is you put it in current value, just like that.
Yep.
It's much longer. That looks like an API key. And if you click that, you'll still see it. So I'm not going to click it, but other people viewing your workspace won't be able to see that. That's
Yeah.
stored to your local session.
Yep. And
So then
it's
you're
stored to the
safe.
local session for whichever environment you're in. So if you're in the desktop app, it's only storing it within the desktop app. If you're in your browser, it's only storing it within your browser. And the desktop app and the browser don't know how to like connect to that either. So if you use both, you'll have to set it in both places. But the current value does not synchronize with the Postman servers. So please, please keep your API keys safe, everybody. Don't put them in initial values. Cool. All right. So we're good there. So now we have our TomTom key. So let's go hit that API and let's see if we can figure out how long it's going to take to get from point A to point B. So what are you going to do from
So
there?
I think I think that we should start possibly by forking. I mean, we're gonna have to fork something from the TomTom API. So
Okay.
this will do routing consists of the following service: calculating a route and calculating reachable range. Calculating route will allow us to calculate a route between an origin and a destination passing through waypoints if we specify it. So like we could stop off somewhere.
Okay.
Um, Additional routing parameters like traffic, avoidance conditions, all that kind of stuff can be taken into account. So this might be what we want, but the question is, what can we provide for this search? Does it want coordinates? Because there's a search option here. Would we need to
Well,
chain
I'm
those?
also kind of curious too. What's the difference really between the get and the post? Like post is calculating the route, but so is the get.
Yeah. Routing version, calculate route locations,
Downhill
content
efficiencies?
type.
What?
There's a lot of
Wow, there's a
parameters
lot of
here.
stuff in here. Yeah, we're probably not
Equal
going to need
axle
most
weight.
of these. Yeah,
Okay.
we're probably not gonna need these. All we really care about is, like, our start and end, uh,
Vehicle engine
locations.
type. That's very
Vehicle load
detailed.
type. Yeah, wow, that's got a lot of stuff in there.
Mm.
Oh, what time you want to arrive at? Well, that kinda defeats the purpose. We wanna find out how long it's gonna take to get there, not, "I wanna get there by
Right.
4." I wanna find out that it's going to be 4 o'clock when I arrive.
But I
Vehicle
wonder the
heading.
difference between like that get and the post, because I would have imagined get might be like something that was already defined.
So there is a
It doesn't look
checkbox
like
right at the
that.
bottom of that list right there that says compute travel time for. Can you scroll over to
That looks
the
good.
documentation on that one? It says specifies
Sure.
whether to return additional travel time using different types of traffic. Interesting. As well as the default best estimate. No, I think just the default one. So I think we could probably
Yeah.
turn off a lot of these parameter flags
Okay.
and just figure out how, like, the bare minimum is like point A to point B, and we don't care about most of these parameters in here.
Sure. So let's start with forking this then. We can hit
Okay.
this little menu button here to see the other actions we can do and create a fork. This will create a copy in our workspace. So I'm going to call it um, API. And the workspace is going to be Kevin's Road Trip.
All right.
And we don't really have to watch the original collection, but that's how you would get notifications of changes and stuff like that. And I don't need more emails. So let's fork this collection and wait for that. Oh, that was quick. And this should reload us back to our road trip
Mhm.
workspace, and we could see routing. Perfect. So now we need routing slash version number route. That's what we're looking for, and we're going to do
So
calculate route.
so it looks like the locations are maybe part of the path.
So it's looking like version number and locations plus
So
content type.
so let's go look at some of those path variables. If you scroll down to the very bottom here, yeah. So we have a version number.
I'll hide this
There's
for a moment. So current value is 1.
All right. So that's easy enough. So let's set the
Location is
version number to
0.
1. So let's set that value.
So we'll change this, and we can see that it wants an integer, so
Mhm.
1. It wants a string for the locations through which the calculated route must pass. I'm not really interested in that, but does it look like that's required?
Well, yeah, we are going to need the locations because we have those in our environment. So we might need a pre-request script that sort of combines those together in some way. So we're going to have to go look up some documentation for like how we set this. And then what's this last one? I don't think we want to get into parsing out
Content
XML
type
here.
of the response structure, XML. So we don't really, it's required, but I think we could just leave it
Yeah,
as the default.
let's do JSON because it's going to be a lot easier for you to parse JSON than parsing XML
Right.
in the follow-up script. Like once we figure out
Makes
how long
sense.
it's going to take to get there, programmatically we want to figure out, okay,
Okay.
it said 16 hours, so let's go find the weather then in 16 hours.
Right.
So we want to store that in our environment as we go.
Okay. So we have to figure out how to handle the locations. We're going to turn off, as LinkedIn user said, that's a lot of parameters. We're not going to
Yeah.
need all of these. Like uphill and downhill efficiency. I'm not a physicist. I don't know how to calculate that.
Let's just
Content
turn all of
speed.
these things off. And we'll turn them back on as we need to, but
Okay.
um instructions type.
We'll leave language on at least. Um, compute best
Sure.
order, route representation, compute travel time 4 is what we're going to need. Vehicle heading.
Oh, a JSON
Reports.
P callback. Oh, I wonder if we're
Would
gonna
we want
need
that?
well, makes me think that the JSON P is gonna be like a webhook or something instead. Um, we'll come back to that one. So,
See.
yeah.
Depart at now. I'll just leave
Yeah.
that. Route type,
Yeah, we'll
fastest
leave that
traffic.
fastest.
Determines whether
Um,
current traffic is used in route calculations. Note that information on historic road speeds is always used. Let's leave that on. Why
sure.
not?
Yep,
Usually we want to
sounds
get
like a
there
good
pretty
one.
fast.
Yep.
We're gonna turn off avoid. Obviously, we're traveling by car. I don't plan on walking to Buffalo from Manhattan. Um, I haven't looked at a map in a while, but Manhattan's like here, and Buffalo's like way up there. So
I love this next one, hilliness, the degree of hilliness for calculating a thrilling route.
thrilling route should
Amount that a thrilling
windingness
route should
too.
wind. That's pretty great.
On a very windy route. Vehicle max speed. We're gonna turn. Do we
Yeah, I think
want
we
to
can turn
set
all these
that?
off. No, we'll turn
Okay.
all these off
Vehicle
for now.
weight.
It sounds like it'll take some of the stuff into consideration, like if you've got like a heavy
Yeah.
commercial vehicle, it'll route you certain ways, or if there's like a weight limit on a bridge or something like that.
I'll avoid destroying bridges on our way.
That would be good. Yeah. Current fuel
Okay.
in liters. That's interesting. So it'll even tell you like,
Millijoules per liter.
wow, megajoules.
Megajoules. I'm not a physicist. Okay, so we're gonna leave
All right.
on language, compute travel time for that's gonna be the most important thing
Well,
that we need.
that one says whether to return additional travel times other than the default. I think we just want the default one, so we can maybe
Oh,
turn
okay,
that one off
right.
for now. Let's just see what we get as a
Not
response
the
on that.
most important parameter.
Yeah.
Depart at now.
Yep.
Route type, traffic travel mode, and it's not a commercial vehicle because
Okay.
there's a lot of roads, especially in New York, that you can't, or New York City, that you can't drive on with a commercial vehicle.
Okay.
So we want to get there fast, and I have a little car. I think we're good then. Let's
Cool. All right.
save
Well,
this.
we're gonna need to go look up some documentation then to figure out how do we set those locations.
So we want to go back to the Tomtom API, and we could see documentation here at the top. And we're using the routing API. So
Mhm.
we'll click this and look for, I don't know where this really took me. I guess service? Because there's also this drop down. Here we go. Calculate route.
Yep, that's
Get
the one that we're
end
using. Yep.
post. And it's depreciating, I guess. So this is all stuff that we've read already. You can easily run this
Okay.
run point and others. Request data. There's get and a post. The constants and parameters and closing curly brackets supposed to be, yeah. All right.
Okay, so the following oh, scroll up just a little bit
Go
above that code block.
back up.
It says the following request URL contains all the endpoints. For their details, please see the common routing parameters page. So we might need that one.
Let's check
But
that out. So this is the same stuff we saw. So location is a
there's our
string,
location.
latitude, longitude,
Latitude and
pair,
longitude.
in
Oh,
that type.
we can't just put city names in there.
Right? That'd be nice.
That would be
So
very
latitude
convenient.
must be in that range. So we'll have to calculate that. Unless search would allow us to do that, which is what I was thinking. You might have to search like a location to get that value.
Yeah, there are APIs that can do the geolocation. Someone was asking in chat, what is TomTom? So TomTom is it's a direction API. If it's a little bit older GPS thing that you can put in a vehicle to actually show you routing and so on. Yeah, and so they make their own hardware and all the software and stuff like that, and they draw their maps and so on. I've actually seen a TomTom car driving around the Denver region recently, doing like their own version of Street View maps and so on.
Remember having a TomTom. I didn't
Yeah.
have it. My parents did.
Yeah, my
But
parents were
yeah.
huge TomTom users. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
What about
so go
if
ahead.
we look up, say, the latitude and longitude of different
I think
locations and
I
just
think for
do that
I think for
manually?
today, I think that'll probably be fine. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I think that'll be okay. It would have been nice to have just put in the city name and do that conversion,
It
but
would be
or
ideal.
have it do that. But I think for now, let's just go. So let's just open a new tab and just go find the latitude and longitude for those locations, and
Okay,
then we'll have
so
to
I'm
figure
gonna
out how do we.
start and longitude.
There it
So
is.
that's is that exactly what we're looking for? Yeah, that looks about it.
Yep.
So
Now the 78 is gonna be negative 78 because of how the latitude and longitudes are sort of stored around the world.
okay.
So when we figure out how to actually build that string, it'll looks like it's gonna be an array, but it's gonna be it'll be like negative 78 on that one. So let's just
So
call it,
I'm
yeah.
gonna keep these here just so that we
Okay.
know we're going from Manhattan to Buffalo, and I'm gonna do start lat long and end lat long
Sure. Sounds good.
for readability. And from Buffalo, we're starting from 42 north, or ending rather and going to, and this is going to be, like Ian had said, negative 78. So negative 78, and we can see that will update, save. So now we have to figure out Manhattan. We go from 40, already starting to have a lot of tabs open, to negative 73.
All right. So
Cool.
let's go back and
So
double check the Tomtom documentation, see like how do we have to. No, looks like that's what we need there.
yeah,
So
that looks
we have a
good.
location and a point. So how do we put both the start and end point
That's
in
what I'm
here?
thinking.
Because that's
Latitude,
only a
longitude, pair.
single latitude and longitude, but we're gonna need a pair of them.
Does it have any examples? Um, Type shortest. That's not really it. Void travel mode. This is all that stuff that we saw that we turned off.
Yeah.
Looking at the right side. Doesn't look like this would be helpful. Can we see request exam? Oh, that's just this. Um,
Oh, hang on. There's one right here. So it looks
right here.
like the start and end point separated by a colon, it looks like. So that like on line 2 of that middle
Right
response.
here.
Yeah. So we
So
see a
this is
colon in
probably like
between
a
them.
start and
Yeah.
an end point.
Yep.
So it looks like
Cool.
that's what we want.
So we're gonna need.
Okay.
So yeah. So you're gonna need to figure out how do we put those together to actually add that to our request.
So I'm making sure that we've saved this, and I'm going to close this tab because I already seem to have a lot open. I'm going to close Google Maps because we're not interested in that at the moment. And we're going to change this. So we want to use curly brackets and look for start lat long. I believe that's what we use. Let's
Hmm.
change that so that's active. There we go. So we could see like our initial and our current variables. And then we also want to put in a colon like we saw in that example and do int lat long.
Cool.
And that should be good. So if we hit save, I think we're ready to hit send. Let's
Okay.
give it a shot.
We might need to double
So,
check the authorization, like how we're setting over the
oh
API
yeah.
key.
So let's do API key, and we're gonna do. We just do bear token
Well, let's inherit from the collection. Let's go look at the collection level and see what it's expecting.
action level API
So it
key
needs an API key.
key value true. So let's do Tom key. I believe is what we use. I don't know why that's not autofilling.
Cool. All right. Make
What
sure
we
you save that
used.
change too.
Yeah, so this should work. And then I'm gonna do Control S to save it, and you could see that little orange icon disappeared.
Yep.
So let's try now. Okay, we got data. We got a
Hey, we got
200.
data.
We got a
Sweet.
200.
All right,
So let's
let me pull
expand this a little
our
bit.
faces over here and let's have a look at this data. So length in meters. That's a lot of meters.
A lot of
Uh,
meters.
travel time in seconds. Okay.
So we can convert
Traffic
that
delay.
to
That's pretty cool.
hours.
Yep.
Legs. I guess that's like the leg of the trip,
Yeah. So like
not like
each sort of
walking.
portion, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be
Okay.
like all the different
Wow.
freeway exits or something like that,
A lot of
probably.
values there. Let's see how far we can go.
That's a lot of
Gonna
steps
take
of
a while.
directions.
Look at that. All right.
All right.
Travel mode car. So I think we have what we're looking for.
All right.
Travel time in seconds. That's what we're
So
interested in.
how are you going to get that? So what I want to do is I want to figure out how can we extract that out of our data and store it for later for when we go figure out what the weather is going to be like in Buffalo when we arrive. So how
I
do we
love
want to
storing
handle that?
data for later. So we're gonna look at this. I'm gonna shrink it a little bit so we can actually see our screen, and I'm gonna get the sidebar out of the way. We're gonna start with a test script. So
Okay.
first, I want to make sure that our status code is 200 because if it doesn't work, why run that code?
No
So
point. Yep.
PM response to have status 200 will block it. If it doesn't have 200, then we're not going to waste our time doing this extra stuff. And we're going to create a variable. And this is
Yep.
going to be travel time in seconds.
And
Conveniently mean the same thing as the other.
Arlemi's encouraging more math. All right.
More maths. No, thank you. I'm good.
Cool.
Actually, let's make this a constant because that's not going to change. We don't want to change
Okay.
that. And we're going to set it to pm.response. So actually, we can see a JSON value check. Let's look at what this looks like. So if you're not sure how to get to this path, we have these snippets that might make that a little easier. So we can see pm.response JSON. So this will allow us to parse that. And we could see JSON data value. So I'm going to steal that piece and we're going to get rid of this snippet that we just created. And we were already on the right track, but just in case people aren't really sure. So pm.response.json, and we could see this is where we're starting from this object. So we want to go
Mhm.
for roots. And then this would be, I believe, let's type this out as we go. Actually, I have another idea. Let's console log this. Travel time in seconds. So now if we send this again, we'll see what that looks like in the console.
Yep.
And it looks like an array with
Yep.
element 0 being the next thing that we want. So this is an easy way. For me, I find it easier to go through it this way. So we're going to
Sure.
do 0, and that's just going to grab the first element in the array,
Mhm.
0. And we want to look at summary. So summary, and then travel time in seconds. I'm going to copy paste that because it's spelled the same. I don't want to type that again. Then we're going to save that. So that's saved. Send it again. And we should get a number.
Yep.
We got a
There's our
number.
22,000 seconds. All right.
All right.
Perfect.
So we need to convert 22,000 seconds into hours. So how do we want to do this? There are 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. So we're going to do some
Okay.
math.
Yay, math.
Const travel time in hours equals travel time in seconds divided by 60, right?
Yep.
Divided by 60.
All right.
Should be pretty good. And we're going to change this log to be giving us our travel time in hours. We save, send it again, and we're going to get a smaller number. 6
All right.
hours. I could do that in a day. That's not
Cool.
too bad.
Let's round that. So can we just round it to say 6 hours?
Yeah, so let's math.floor, a little built-in math function so that I don't have to do that myself.
Or
And
should
that
we
should
should we
round
use
it down.
you know what, let's do ceiling actually instead of floor. Let's
Ceiling. We're
round it
gonna
up just in
okay.
case traffic or if we have to stop for gas or something like that. Yeah, let's do ceiling instead.
We're gonna
We'll round it
round
up
that up instead, just in case we need a bathroom break. We want to get snacks. There's traffic. 7 hours.
just in
I can
case.
still do that.
All right. So we got 7 hours. So
Okay.
what's the weather going to be like in Buffalo in 7 hours, Kevin?
7 hours. So we're gonna need a weather API. It sounds like.
Yep.
Let's hide the console with that button actually, and let's see what weather APIs. Let's check out Explore again for a moment, and we're gonna search. I didn't even have to click Explore weather. And we want, see this flex weather. there's a lot of weather APIs. What if we filter by API? Because there's less.
Okay.
Open weather map.
OpenWeatherMap's a good one.
That looks like a good one to me.
Another
There's
one
a
from
lot
API
of
Evangelist.
views,
Yep.
and it's from this guy API Evangelist. Okay.
Cool.
So let's see. What do we need to do here? We can go to the collections and we can get call current weather data for for one location. That sounds like what we need, right?
Okay.
Um, and we can see there's language, there's a mode, so we could probably see that
Well,
HTML,
that's gonna give us
XML,
the current weather,
JSON.
though. We need to know what the weather's gonna be like in 7 hours. So maybe that
In
would be the
7
forecasted weather.
hours forecasted. Good idea with a zip code. Oh, tricky. Well,
If
we
you scroll
can.
up scroll up in here, though, because there's a lot of parameters in here again.
Oh
So it
yeah,
looks like
all right.
this can take the Q is just, I think just the city name,
City
or
name
you can give it
that could work.
a city ID, or you can give it a latitude and longitude. So we don't have to
Latitude and
send all of these.
longitude. All
So
right, so this
we've
looks like
got the
it's
lat
it,
we've got the lat long, or we could use the Q and just pass in the string.
right?
Either one of those should work.
Okay, so then let's fork this.
Okay,
Uh,
this sounds like a good one to use.
thank you, API Evangelist. I'm gonna do weather API. I'm gonna put that in our road trip, and not gonna watch that. Sorry, and fork that. So now we're gonna need another API key, which we should be able to do. Hopefully a little easier than the Tomtom API, and some other data here. So forecasted weather is what we were interested in. We
Mhm.
already have a latitude and a longitude, so we're going to turn off zip. We'll leave units on. Language mode, we'll keep that. Uh,
So do
city
we
ID,
want
we
to?
don't need that.
Yeah. So do we
We don't
want to
need the
send in the city
name.
name, or do you want to use lat long? So if you use
Let's
lat
use
long,
lat
though,
long.
if you use the lat long, you need to send those as two separate parameters, which means you're going to need to take what's in your environment and split it.
Hmm, that's a good
So that's why I'm
point.
thinking the
Maybe let's
city
do
name.
city name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this would be a little easier for the time we have.
would have been nice if it was that smooth though. All
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
Um, the city name and the app ID is our API key. So
Yep.
let's turn off this real quick while I get my API key. And
So what's everybody's thoughts so far? How's Kevin doing on the blindfold challenge? Let us know
a
in
good
chat what you
driver.
think. Throw some emojis at us. Let us know how Kevin's doing so far. I think the JavaScript is going to get a little bit interesting here. Kevin, best practices, Corbett. As far as like your debugging skills and like going through very methodically, I think it was a good sort of walkthrough of like how are we doing that very programmatically and very methodically. So good job
When in
with the
doubt,
debugging for sure.
console log everything.
That's for sure. Yep. Oops. Keep clicking the wrong buttons here.
Trying to get this API key. Good. I'm not gonna show this yet because you can see the full key.
Okay.
All right, here we go. We're back.
All
And
right,
I'm
we're
going to
back.
go back into our environment. Actually, I'm going to close this tab because it's already selected here. And we want to
Could probably close out
edit.
those Tomtom tabs as well.
It seems like we're mostly done with TomTom for now.
Yep.
So we're going to add another one called weather key. And we want to change that to secret because as we remember, anything goes in there, you'll be able to see. So I'm going to just do blah, and that's my key. We'll save
Cool.
it. So
All
now
right.
we've got our weather key and our TomTom key. Start Latin long, all of that stuff that we need. I think we're good now with the environment variables. let's
Okay.
go back to OpenWeatherMap and forecasted weather. We want to update API or app ID to use our key. So we'll do weather key. That's good. City name. I'm going to turn off ID. I didn't save that in the last tab. That would have been nice. We'll do the end city. So end is Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
Turn off the zip. Let's leave this for now. We'll do Imperial.
Okay.
Then we can update that to metric after,
Sure.
so that we can do both. We'll leave this with Ian and not Ian, but Yen and Jason. We'll save that.
All right.
So I think we just hit send.
Let's try it.
Oh, but we need to figure out. Let's just see what we get first.
Yeah.
404
Uh-oh.
city not found. Oh
Ruh-roh.
no.
Okay. Well, let's go to
So
the console
example
log.
London.
Let's go to the
Okay, we'll do
let's go to the console log just so we can see what the request actually looked like when we sent it out. Unfortunately, your nameplate is covering up some of it here,
a
but
little bit.
if we look at the parameters, we notice there's an extra slash happening in here. We have a data slash 2.5 slash forecast. So
Hmm.
I don't know whether that's going to cause a problem, but we definitely see the Q equals Buffalo, comma,
Oh, and that's
space
my
New York.
API key. Yeah,
Oh,
comma New
yeah.
York.
Whoops.
So, whoops. Anyway, Buffalo, New York. So
Anyway,
maybe in the example we can see here, it just says London. So maybe we could just do
well, if we put in Buffalo, though, we don't
some
know which Buffalo it's going to pick. Like, there's going to be some
exactly.
amount of like popularity of like which Buffalo is it going to choose. Um, I wonder if it's the space that's messing it up, but there's also that extra slash in there. So on the address bar where you have the get base URL slash forecast, can we take out the slash before the forecast? I don't
So
know if
yeah,
that's gonna
sure. We're
fix
seeing
anything for us, but
yeah, we'll give it a shot. We can see in this GET request what went through was this 2.5 slash slash. So yeah, yay free API key. Let's remove this slash that's in our request because maybe the base URL already has that. That could be what's breaking.
so much for our
Um,
Kevin best practices Corbett
right?
line here now too. Good job,
Never
Kevin.
look at the console. Just never send. And we got
Ooh, we get a 404.
another 404. City not found. I assure you, Buffalo is still there. But our
It's
URL
interesting that
looks
they're giving
better.
us a
So
404 because a 404 means that the path that you're trying to access wasn't found. In this case, the path
yeah,
was found. It just it successfully couldn't respond. So should that be a 200 status code? It's just 200. Like I got your query, but I have nothing to give you as a response. Like sending
yeah,
back a 404 here
was
sounds a
successful.
yeah. I mean, it's a successful failure. Is how I think of it. So.
Ian best
Um,
practices Douglas.
so someone was also asking, are these challenges available later? Yeah, they're all up on our YouTube channel. So
Oh,
you can check out YouTube and just search for Postman on YouTube, and you'll find our channel on YouTube. We have all of these blindfold challenges on there that you can go back and watch. They are stored for a little while on LinkedIn and Twitch as well. So you can go back and look at previous Postman events on LinkedIn, and you'll see some of the videos from there. But yeah, we like kind of our learning in public style here for sure.
so we're gonna test that hypothesis of maybe it's the space.
Okay.
And I removed the space from Buffalo, New York. I hit save. We're going to go back to forecasted weather so we can see the endpoint has been updated. And we're going to hit that blue button and hope same response.
Same response.
Let's
Okay.
see
So
what it would look like just without the New York. We'll get a list of different buffaloes, but it might just show
maybe
us what we're looking for. Hopefully. Let's go blue button. It's 200.
so that
That's
gives us a 200.
progress.
All right. So
Hmm.
feels
Light
like
rain in Buffalo.
so what I'm curious about
Oh,
here,
not here.
if we scroll down a little bit, does it tell us which buffalo this is? Um
That's what I was looking for, but it looks like it's just giving us like DT main temperature, all
So
of
we
that
have
stuff. Clouds, wind,
we have the
visibility.
weather, a little
It's
bit of
not really
rain.
saying where. And there's, as we both predicted, a
Yeah,
lot
there's a
of
lot of
buffaloes.
buffaloes.
What
Buffalo,
about like
buffalo.
instead of NY, just New York?
Okay.
That that automatically
Although
saves, so we don't have
I
to
would
open
really
that.
hope that a weather API would be more capable of understanding state abbreviations, but
Yeah.
let's see what we get. Oh, that gave us okay,
Oh,
but
there we
did
go.
it give us less data though? It still gave us a lot of data though.
Give us a lot of data. There's apparently multiple buffaloes in New York. Um,
A lot of buffaloes in Colorado too, but the real kind.
yeah,
Um, okay, so we have a temperature, we have a feels like. Um, what's interesting though is this is not telling us what it's going to be like in a predicted
yeah.
amount of time. So let's scroll down in here a little bit. Let's
That
just
actually,
see what kind of
that
content we
might
have
be what
here.
we're getting here. That it's forecasted weather, so this might be giving us a range of weathers.
Okay. We could try compacting some of these. So let's scroll up to the very top. And if we hover over, yeah, so let's hover, well, let's go down and close up line 8.
We'll
Because we
close
want
up
to look at
8
we
here.
want to look at the DT, which I'm guessing is a date time.
That's what I'm
So let's
thinking,
just,
because we can see here DT text. This is
oh, okay.
1800.
Okay.
And then if we look here, that's
2100.
2100.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it
Okay.
looks like we're getting just a list
A
of dates.
progression of dates and
Right.
times. Okay.
So that might be what we want here. Let's minimize a couple of these. Um, so we can math it and find
Yay,
something
math.
that's closest to the next
Well, we need to figure out
output from our
what
calculator.
time is it now? How do we add 7 hours to then go find the most applicable hour of what's the weather gonna be like when we arrive?
Date math is my favorite thing.
Someone was also asking if the comma was causing problems, on the route, or not. We're not really sure what the problem
Possible.
was there. We
Yeah.
spelled out the state name and it seemed to work okay, but putting the state abbreviation, seemed to not work. So, but good suggestions. We appreciate the suggestions coming in here. All right. So where do we wanna go from here, Kevin?
Okay. So I'm thinking out loud here. We're gonna have to do some date math. So when we calculate the route under our tests tab, oh no, where did it go? Because I'm under the wrong one. That's right. Travel time in hours. So we're getting that number.
Mhm.
Um, we're gonna have to figure out now what the current time is, which is a date done now, and um, add 8 hours to that.
So,
So
one thing that we could potentially do, just spitballing here, if we go back to the output data that we got from the weather, we
going
have,
here. Oh, here.
yep, so we have that DT parameter. Do you know what that 1,657,000,000, do you know what that represents?
That is time since the Linux epoch, right?
Of January 1st, 1970. So that
Long
is the
time
number
ago.
of seconds that has elapsed. Our travel route gave us the number of seconds it's going to take to get there. We can add those together to figure out what time is it gonna be when we get there, and then convert
Sounds so
that
much easier to me.
into a or, once we know that, then we could just maybe iterate through these and look for the next one that's, like, less than, what the time is gonna be, or the next one that's greater than or something like that.
Yeah.
Might be one quick way of figuring that out instead of having to, like, take the string of a date and parse things out and
Yep.
add so many hours because that could roll over a 24-hour thing, which can roll over a day, which could roll over a month, which could roll over a year, like, meh, let's just use these epoch times. I think that's gonna
Yeah.
make that a
Sounds a
little
lot
more straightforward
easier.
for us.
I
Cool.
was
Alright.
already thinking like, okay, we'll use moment and this and that. That's gonna be confusing, but let's just do some basic math.
I
So
I
we're
was
gonna
I was
do
I was about to drop a meme joke in there saying, "Ain't nobody got time for that."
Yeah, there you go.
Because
All
we,
right,
we we
so
got we got about half an hour left here on our challenge, which is still
running
plenty of
out of
time
time.
for. No, we're doing great on time here.
We
So
still got like a 7-hour drive.
right,
That's the
yeah, we got
second half
7 hours
of the
ahead of us. We got.
stream. We're gonna check our prediction. All right,
We'll
so
just get our hotspot rolling, and
yeah,
you know,
just
we'll
keep
just
this stream on
live
the
stream from the
road.
car.
Okay, well, I hope you enjoy watching traffic. Let's do Ian's idea. So we're gonna take this time in seconds. Let's do uh constant date. Or hardest part of coding is coming up with variable names. So we're
Um,
trying to, I'm gonna think this out loud, but we're trying
okay,
to figure out time in 8 hours from now. So let's do time in 8 hours.
okay. Well, how about arrival time?
Arrival time. 'Cause that's not always gonna be 8 hours, and it's not, it's
Right.
actually 7.
Yeah.
So arrival time uh in seconds. I think that could
Sure.
work. And we'll do new date. I believe that's how I do that. Plus, let's see what this looks like first.
Okay.
Then it should just be as simple as adding the seconds. So we're gonna save that, console log it, pull that up in the console, and we're getting this.
So it's hidden by your
So,
nameplate. So can you explain what you're seeing behind the nameplate on the screen? Because we can't actually
uh,
see what you're seeing
let
unless you
me
console
send
log.
it a bunch of times, and now you can see that. So
Okay.
we're seeing right
So
here,
we're actually getting a
it's
whole
text.
string. So how can
Yeah.
we tell JavaScript to give us back that epoch time for time right now?
Uh, let's look that up. It's a good
All right.
idea. This is what I do a lot. It's one of the most valuable skills as a programmer. How to get current time in seconds JavaScript. And gonna look for Stack Overflow. So getting the current date and or time in seconds. And we got a whole lot of stuff here. So get time divided
Okay.
by 1,000. That looks
Do
like
you
it.
know do you know why we're dividing by 1,000 here?
Because that'll convert it to milliseconds. Or from
The
milliseconds, right?
From milliseconds, yeah. So dot get time is
Yes.
going to give you the epoch time plus the exact amount of milliseconds or whatever on your system clock. Yeah. And we don't need the
And then
milliseconds.
one of the best things you can do from Stack Overflow is copy paste.
Have you seen that
Stealing
Stack
code every
Overflow
day.
keyboard? Have you seen that Stack Overflow keyboard? It's
Yeah.
literally three keys of
Control
like
C and V.
Control C and V. Yeah.
And I've hit send a couple times so that now we can see this and we're getting a decimal.
Yep.
So let's
Yep. So we can just
seal it.
round that off.
Yeah.
We can seal it or floor it, either one. Yeah, it was funny that
But
three key
semicolons.
keyboard actually started as an April Fool's joke, and enough people are like, "I want that," that they actually started producing it
Actually
as an actual
produce that.
keyboard. Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so I'm gonna send that one more time. Now we have a nice round number. Um, so now we want to store this in our environment. So I lied, we're not done with our environment yet.
Yeah.
Let's close this and we're gonna look at our snippets and we're gonna see how do we set an environment variable. So let's make sure this goes online. That looks pretty easy. Let's name this arrival. Actually, I'm just gonna copy paste
Sure.
arrival time in seconds and then our value. So that's not gonna be a string, but it's gonna be exactly that.
Yeah.
And then we also have to go into our environment and actually create that. So same thing. We'll set this to 0 to start, just so that we can prove that it works. And we're gonna go back to our calculate root and hit send. And let's see. So that's updated. If we go to our environment, we can see there's a time. So
All
that
right.
should be the time, the
When
current
we
time
arrive.
actually. So we have to add to that. Um, so we need to do this plus for readability. Put this in quotes. and
So while
do travel
Kevin's working on
time.
that, I'm gonna address this
Seconds.
question. How can we write reusable functions in Postman tests so that I can call these common functions for any tests in the collection? So you can actually build test code at a collection level, just as helper methods, and then you'll be able to call those from later. You could also do some work with JavaScript imports to tell your test code to like import from a known file. So if you write those helper methods somewhere else, you can import those in as well.
So I'm just going to demonstrate that this is actually working and uh, console log both of them.
Okay.
Okay, so right now, sum up, we have the arrival time in seconds, which is going to give us the ceiling. So it's going to round up the current date in seconds plus the travel time in seconds. And I'm going to log current date in seconds and then the arrival time in seconds. And we
Okay.
should see that it's bigger. I'm going to send that twice so that you guys will be able to see that.
Yep. So we
I
see
can
the
scroll down. So let's do that one more. Oh no, you can see that. Cool. So yeah, we can see that it's gone up by
yeah,
a couple thousand.
mhm,
So now let's do some math in forecasted weather. And we want to do, I think we would do this as a test script because we need to get the data first, and test scripts
okay,
run after your request has been sent.
good.
So let's do arrival time. Oh, that's not it. Seconds to actually, let's look at the snippets again. We did this before, so this will be useful. Um, get an environment variable. So PM variable get variable key, and this is. I just want to make sure I copy it correctly. Travel time in seconds. All
Okay.
right. So now we can see again with DT, that's going to be what we're looking for. So we want to find one that is, I'd say closest would be ideal. Do we have time for that?
What we probably could do is just iterate through these, and we know that if it's less than our arrival time, that it's gonna like that weather's happening before we get there. So we probably
Right.
want to find the first one that's greater than our arrival time.
Okay. So let's drag this down again. And just like we had done earlier in calculate route, we're going to have to get the response. Oops, not that one. PM response, JSON routes, all of that. So let's do something similar. I'm going to do status code is 200. I'm going to move that into this block. Fix that spacing. Right. So next we need to get this list, which is an array. And we're going to set that as like a variable that we can start to parse through. So
Yep.
constant, because we don't want to change any of that data. And we'll do weather data. And again, let's copy paste because we like doing that. We don't really have to copy paste actually, but we're going to look through the JSON data. So we want to look at list here.
Okay.
And that should just set that. So console log weather data. Send it again. So yeah, we can see that we're getting an array here.
Okay.
And this is all
Definitely have
that
that array of
stuff.
objects. All right. Good.
And conveniently, we can, because they're objects, we can just do something like a for each and
Okay.
just compare until we find one that's greater than. And the first one that's greater than, that would be our weather.
Sounds good.
So actually, maybe we'll want to do like a map, because a map we can set a variable. Let's step through this together.
Okay. Well, what's the difference between map and for each?
Good question. Maps allow you to, at least for the purpose that I'm going to use it for, is that I can do something like this, where I have a variable like, uh, let's do weather, and if we use a map for that, so we'll do weather data map, and it's similar to a for each, where it'll go through each element of the array, and when we find something that we want, it'll return it, and we can set weather that way. That's not the
Okay.
best way to explain it, but
Oh,
I'm
that's
thinking
fine.
of a bunch all at once.
Okay.
Okay, so we have to do, what do we want to call it? These variable names aren't great.
Yeah,
So
let's call it like a weather object or something like that.
weather object, that could work. So the reason that we need another name here is because this is going to go through each element of the array, and we want to refer to that element. Weather data would make sense, but we're already using weather data, so
Oh, we are. Yep.
weather object, and we were going to use an arrow function, this, and we want to do, um, so I'm thinking like, if we'll look here, weather object, dt is greater than or equal to, because if they're equal, then that's exactly what we need.
All right.
Um, arrival time in seconds, then return other objects.
Okay.
And then if we do that, we could just do this without the brackets, but it's a little less confusing maybe.
Yeah.
Um, and I think we don't need to return anything. We don't want to return null. If it's not equal, it'll just keep going, and when we find that, we'll get weather. So let's also console log. I'm actually gonna get fancy with this and do it. Oops. Um, weather. I'm gonna do it a couple times, so we only have to send the
All
request
right.
once, and then you'll be able to see it. So we're getting undefined here. What's going
So
on?
so with a map will actually return something for each of the things that you're iterating over, whether you return
Right.
something or not. So in one case, you're explicitly returning something, but if that if condition doesn't happen, it's also returning like an undefined, because it
Okay.
didn't find what you're looking for. So in this case, a for each would be more appropriate than a map because we
For
only
each.
want we only want to return something if we find it.
I haven't used a map in a little while. So we're getting undefined now.
Okay.
Um,
So we might want to expand line 9 to actually be like a block of code instead of just a return. And maybe we can console log in there like, hey, we found something that was bigger, like just to see whether we actually get to that point. And
console
like,
log this weather object.dt.
and then you need a closing bracket after line 11. Yeah, there you go. Let's try and
Right.
run that. Well, let's add something else on line 10 just so we can identify it. Like, hey, we found what we're looking for. Like, just add a string in there or something that that we can see on that console log. Like, we found a date object. Yep, good use of backticks in there. Get a little
Favorite way
string
to do
interpolation.
strings.
A
Yeah.
little string interpolation.
Okay.
So it found a lot of things that were
A
greater.
lot of stuff.
So that's interesting. So we want it to stop as soon as we find the first one, though. We don't want to keep
Right.
going.
That makes sense. I wonder why we were getting undefined before, but okay. So we're finding like the first one.
So in
Um,
in our chat overlay, I don't see these comments coming in, but I do see people commenting on LinkedIn saying that using .filter would be more appropriate here. Um,
filter.
yeah,
There you
and someone
go.
And
All
someone else was
right.
asking, can we share the topic? So today's topic, basically, Kevin's doing a blindfold challenge, where his challenge was we want to go on a road trip. We want to get in the car and we want to go on a trip, but we want to know what the weather's going to be like in our destination when we arrive. And so the first thing that we did is we looked up what the route was going to be between our starting city and our ending city to figure out how long it was going to take to get us there. And now we're trying to figure out from the weather data, what's the weather going to be like when we get there. So that's our challenge for today. And Kevin's almost done. We got about 10 minutes left on our stream. No pressure, no rush. We're doing great on time.
Oh, yeah. So our filter is giving us still an array
A
of
lot of things.
DTs where it's
So
greater than.
one thing that we might be running into is time zone. So sometimes when you tell it to grab the epoch time, it gives you the epoch time in UTC, which is going to be in London, UK time
Mhm.
and not our local time. So we need to evaluate, is the weather API giving us that date time in UK time, or is it giving us that time in localized time?
True.
So
Um,
my guess right now is that it's because if we go back and we look at those weather objects that it was returning, it looks like it was actually giving us like later in the afternoon, later in the evening kinds of timestamps. So that makes me think that it's actually giving us UTC time,
it looks like
where
it's going every 3 hours.
it is every 3 hours as well.
Yeah.
So it's not giving us every hour. Now, there is a parameter that we can send on this forecast endpoint that says, give us hourly data or give us minutely data. Like you can get it down to the minute if you want. Um, I don't recall if that parameter is in the list.
Look, it
Um,
was here.
no, they actually
There's
have a
another
they actually have a separate endpoint for like give me all the data all in one shot. So
right.
I think the 3 hour thing is enough. Someone else is suggesting maybe just do a while loop or something, just to fetch what we're looking for and then break out of the while loop.
Well, one option would be just doing like that and getting the first, since if it's filtering everything that's greater than that time, um, that might be enough. But we could also just do like a
Okay.
for loop. Because if we do this, this will just give us in the
So
console.
yeah. So one thing maybe is when we console log that out, console log what our arrival time was going to be, so that we can verify against the object that
Right.
we're actually printing out that this
It's a
was
good
actually the first
idea.
one. Just that way we can visually kind of match that up.
Could
And then
do
maybe
a whole
maybe just
fancy block
console
here.
yeah, maybe console log like a couple of backslash n's or something like that. So we'll get some extra spacing.
Uh, right. So arrival time, we're gonna go with
So is our arrival time in seconds?
yeah, okay. And then we'll also do it, and we're gonna grab weather.
And then let's throw a bunch more like backslash n's at the end of that. Just that way you don't have to call it a bunch of times and we'll see things kind of scroll up in the console log.
Let's hope that works. There we go.
Yep.
Uh,
All right. Oh, but it's showing us object.
yeah. So we just have to go ET.
Yeah.
Will show what we're looking for.
So if we compare those, it's definitely greater than.
Yeah.
So that looks like that worked. But is it significantly greater than? I
I
mean,
feel like it's a little
36,000 to
bit. Yeah.
47. I mean, we're looking at 7,000 seconds, which is about 2 hours. So, yeah, that looks like it's gonna be the first one that was greater than what we were expecting. So,
Make this a little bit easier and just convert to hours. That's not it. All right. What did I do wrong here?
this is the number of seconds since 1970, so it's like a billion seconds.
Oh,
So, yeah,
right.
it'll be more than division by 3,600,
Yeah.
but I think we found what we're looking for here. So now
Okay.
we can start unpacking that weather object and just tell us like what's the forecast going to be like? What's the temperature? What are the conditions? Is it going to rain? Is it snowing? Is it, you know, ridiculously hot in Buffalo like it is in
So
Manhattan?
let's look
Which
at
of these elements do you
this.
think would be helpful?
So we have our objects. That's what's going to be stored under weather. Um, that's what this bracket would be, everything in here. So we can already
Mhm.
access DT. We can look at main temp and get that. We can get feels like
Yeah. If we scroll down just a tiny bit,
humidity, get
now
some
we
weather
actually,
as well.
yep.
So
So
light
don't really care too
rain.
much. But I mean, we could grab wind data, visibility. Uh, POP is the percentage of precipitation. So yeah, looks like we've got a handful of things that we could go grab and print out here. So let's just go. Let's print out like what the current temperature is, and then like some of those weather conditions, like is it rainy or not?
So I'm actually not going to set that as a variable, and we're gonna. Do we just want a console log of this output?
Yeah, I think just console log is fine. I mean,
Okay.
if we wanted to get really fancy, we could go build a whole visualizer for this.
Yeah, which I don't
But
think we really have time for.
we're getting a little short on time here.
A
So yeah,
little ambitious.
yep.
Okay,
So
so
Rahib
we're gonna
says that
do
this is a very relevant
the,
blindfold challenge today for sure, and
and
also
we're gonna
some good
do.
encouragement. Says you're doing great. So appreciate
Thank
the
you, I
encouragement for
appreciate
Kevin as
it.
we go. Kevin's doing a great
Haven't
job
coded
here.
in a little while. So we were gonna do the weather in location. So this will be end.
Okay.
Um, I have
Yeah, we're gonna
to
have to go grab
grab
that out of our
this,
environment, huh?
that down. We want to do. Oh, I thought I was already at the top. Get environment variable. You were supposed to go in there. Uh, and end. The weather in, and that'll say Buffalo, New York, is currently, or to in Buffalo, New York, it is currently
Oh, but
raining.
we might want to say like when we arrive in Buffalo, the weather is
When
going
we
to be,
arrive, when we
yeah,
arrive in
because because
Buffalo, New York.
it's not necessarily currently rainy
Yeah,
and 73.
it's
It's like
not
that's
yet.
what's going to be when we
So,
get there. Yeah.
when we arrive in Buffalo, New York, let's do. How can we do this? Because I'd like to show the time as well. To say in
Ooh.
a
Well,
couple million
if
seconds from now.
we have the DT text, we have
ET
that in the
text.
weather object.
Okay.
It's right at the bottom of the output there. So it'll tell us like the date and time. Although again, that's adjusting
It's not
for
nice looking.
UTC,
Yeah.
but that's fine.
True.
I mean, we
Let's
could
just
actually, if you split on a space and print the second one, it'll at least give you the hour.
space. I blanked there.
So if you take the output of what's on line 43 of the output, you get the
Yeah.
date, space, and then the time. So if you do a string split on the space character
Oh,
and
right.
then print out the
Okay.
second element or the position one element in your array.
Done a split in a while. I think this is I have to do.
Yep. And then
And
just element
then
one. Yeah.
that is currently, and we'll do.
Or say
So we have to scroll up a little bit.
it will be, not it is
It
currently.
out of space. It will be. Will be. So if we scroll up, we're looking under here. Let's actually make that a little bit more readable. Um, we don't want to look at main. We want to look at weather, 0, and then description. So weather, uh, 0. Then we'll do say there will be uh this
Cool. And then let's grab the temperature out of that main
Yeah.
block.
Do main. So again, I'm just gonna, actually easier to do this. Weather dot main, and then we want temperature, and I'll do quote like, or parentheses feels like temp. Let's just do okay.
Cool.
Think
All right.
think we're good. Let's send and just
Let's,
see what it looks like for now.
yeah.
And I'm
And
gonna
then
do
maybe add a couple of carriage returns on there as well.
yeah.
Some of the backslash
All
ends.
right.
Yeah.
Console all the way at the bottom. Did I not do that? Where'd it go? Thought I hit send.
You broke it. Uh-oh.
Broke
We're
it.
not printing anything.
This result
So
0.
test result 0. So what failed in our test?
Let's go. What did I break? Okay, hold
What'd you
on.
what'd you
Let's
do?
recover. Let's fix this. So we're gonna comment. I'm gonna move that, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
comment like that entire thing out and
I think
do it
maybe it didn't
again.
like them. I think it maybe didn't like the multi-line. So I think if you uncomment it,
Possible. Like
if it
that.
if it
And
still complains, then it's a syntax issue about no. uh, I mean that's
it.
well, no, it failed. So the test failed again. So it could be that how we're accessing some of that data.
Oh, it's the split. I'm doing
Weather.dt.split is not a
split.
function. Oh,
Okay, hold on.
it's not DT. So DT it was DT underscore
Oh, you're
text.
right. Underscore text.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No letter E, just TXT. Yep. All
Brain
right.
back in
Let's go look at our
business
console.
here. Let's see. When we
We
arrive
arrive
in
in
Buffalo, New
Buffalo
York, 000,
at
there will
midnight
be
UTC.
scattered clouds.
All right.
I mean, I guess 7 hours from now, it'd be 7 p.m. That would round up to 9, so I feel like that's not accurate. And it'd be
Yeah, that's true.
70. Let's do, uh,
I think we're close enough though. Like,
I think,
you know,
yeah.
for the purpose of our challenge today, you accomplished everything that we needed, and we're coming up on time here. So let's do some community shoutouts. So Kevin,
Yeah.
what do you got going on that you wanna shout out for us?
Oh man, community manager. I think I have a community in mind. Check out the Postman community forums, but also we have a link for that somewhere. Um, this tab, pretty easy to get to. We have a whole lot of conversation going on here, but also the Postman Supernova program. Pretty easy Google search. Um, This is a great program. We have about 22 people at the moment, and it's just unique people all over the world, all different languages, just preaching about basically Postman and APIs. If you're interested in educating, public speaking, anything like that, just joining a really cool community, apply. It's really easy, and we'd love to have you. Plus, like, we do a lot of cool stuff.
Awesome. Cool. Well, great job today, Kevin. My shout out is going to be go check out our blog, blog.postman.com. We've had a lot of really great blog articles lately. You can also check us out on YouTube as well, youtube.com/postman. Um, Ken Lane has been doing a bunch more of the breaking changes. We've just got tons of content up on YouTube as well. We've been working hard at getting blog posts written up for all kinds of interesting things. And so, yeah, you can go check out all of that. We got some Space Camp stuff coming up in August. Yeah, we got all kinds of neat stuff on the roadmap. Looking forward to seeing everybody at some in-person events in the future. So yeah, definitely check out the Supernovas program. See if they're running any meetups in your area as well. The Supernovas are really active for getting local meetups and so on. And yeah, we're also going to be at API Days New York. If you're going to be there, feel free to come hang out with us as well. And
I'll be at the
otherwise,
booth.
you'll be at the booth. Sweet,
Yeah.
uh, awesome, cool. So summarizing overall what we did, we had Kevin work through a blindfold challenge here and did a great job figuring out like how do we get from point A to point B, how long is that going to take, and then what's the weather going to be like once we get there. So yeah, appreciate your efforts. Good job on the JavaScript coding, and good job finding some good APIs that you can go tinker with and play with as well. We'll get all those in the show notes when we post this up on YouTube later on. So thanks for
Now I
joining
have to
us,
go
everybody.
verify the weather.
Yeah, for sure. All
Real
right.
quick though,
Well,
with API Days New York, it's in New York physically. We have some keys that we can give out, or discount codes rather, where you'll get to attend for free if you're located in New York. So if you DM me on Twitter, Kev, it's right like there. um, I can give you that code, and there's also the virtual half. So if you're looking to just check it out from anywhere in the world, that's free as well.
awesome. Yeah, go give us a follow on Twitter. I'm on Twitter as well. We're trying to get more followers in Arlemi. So
Trying to
yeah,
beat,
help
yeah, it's
help
a
us out there.
competition. I
It
think
is
I
now.
post funny stuff.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for hanging out today, Kevin, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks everybody for hanging out. We'll see you next
Thanks,
week on the live
everyone.
stream. And have a great day. Enjoy the weather where you are. Stay cool if you're warm. Stay warm if you're cool. And we'll catch you next time. Cheers.
Bye.